Life often moves in a rhythm that feels interconnected, as though unseen threads weave experiences, thoughts, and encounters together into patterns that are more than random chance. This flow, which many people call synchronicity, carries a certain ease with it. It is the sensation that events are arranged in such a way that they affirm your path, support your journey, and reflect your inner state outward into reality. But there comes a moment when that flow, that sense of cosmic alignment, appears to break down. The signs stop showing up, the coincidences no longer feel meaningful, and the universe grows quiet. At first, this silence can feel like abandonment or misdirection, as if life has ceased to affirm you. Yet this stillness, this gap between synchronicities, is precisely the doorway to a deeper transformation, a quantum shift within the self. The moment synchronicity stops is not the end of alignment, but rather the beginning of a profound inner reorganization. Synchronicity functions like a guide, pulling you along a certain trajectory, but its absence forces you to move from external confirmations into an inner certainty. When the signs no longer appear, you are invited to rely not on external validation but on your own inner compass. It is as if the universe removes the training wheels of cosmic coincidence, urging you to trust your own ability to move forward without the constant reassurance of patterns and signals. This transition is where the quantum shift begins, because the locus of power moves from outside to inside, from dependence on signs to a realization of your own creative agency. This shift can feel unsettling because human beings naturally crave connection to something larger than themselves. Synchronicity feels like proof that life is meaningful, that we are connected, and that the universe is intelligent. When that thread disappears, doubt can creep in. The ego interprets the silence as rejection, imagining that something has gone wrong. But in truth, the silence is not rejection, it is expansion. When synchronicity fades, the universe is asking you to embody the qualities you once only witnessed in signs. You become the synchronicity, the living pattern, the manifestation of meaning itself. Instead of looking for symbols in the outer world, you begin to create them through your own choices, presence, and awareness. That is the essence of the quantum leap, moving from seeing life as a mirror to realizing that you are the projector. During this stage, people often encounter confusion, resistance, or even despair. The mind that once delighted in connecting dots feels starved of dots to connect. It is tempting to chase after the old flow, to demand new signs, to cling to rituals or practices that once delivered synchronicities. Yet the deeper wisdom lies in surrendering to the void. The absence of synchronicity is like the pause between breaths. It is not death, but renewal. Just as silence in music gives shape to sound, the stillness in your journey gives space for a new octave of consciousness to emerge. If you rush through this pause, you miss the quantum recalibration. If you linger in trust, the silence reveals itself as the birthplace of a new alignment far beyond the old patterns. A quantum shift is not a linear improvement but a dimensional leap. In the old paradigm of synchronicity, you were still bound to the external world reflecting you back to yourself. In the new paradigm, you realize that the external world is not simply reflecting but emerging from you. This is why the absence of synchronicity is so crucial. It breaks your dependence on outer confirmation, forcing you to recognize the depth of your own co-creative power. You stop waiting for the universe to wink at you, and instead you embody the winking. You stop waiting for numbers, symbols, and coincidences, and instead you live in such authenticity that your very existence becomes a symbol to others. The shift is subtle but revolutionary. Your relationship to reality changes at the root. At first, this transformation can feel isolating. Without synchronicity, you might feel cut off from spirit, as though the divine hand has withdrawn. But as time unfolds, you begin to sense a new form of guidance that is quieter, more intimate, and less dramatic. It is not the flashing billboard of synchronicity but the steady hum of intuition. It is not the external echo of meaning but the internal resonance of truth. This is the essence of a quantum shift, a move from duality to unity, from signs that point the way to a state of being that is itself the way. The silence reveals your capacity to carry guidance within, to trust your impulses, and to act without the constant reassurance of cosmic applause. The quantum nature of this shift is important to understand. In classical thinking, progress is linear. You get more signs, more clarity, more external validation. In quantum thinking, progress is discontinuous. You reach a tipping point where the old system collapses and a new one arises. The collapse of synchronicity is like the collapse of a quantum wave function. It looks like emptiness, but it is actually the point where infinite possibilities condense into a new reality. The old flow dissolves so that a new dimension of awareness can open, one that no longer needs synchronicity as proof. You realize that synchronicity was never the source of guidance, only the reflection of your readiness. When you no longer need the reflection, the mirror shatters, and the infinite possibilities within you become the new foundation of your journey. This process is not comfortable because it challenges the very foundation of how we relate to mystery. Many spiritual seekers cling to synchronicity as evidence that they are loved or chosen, that the path they walk is correct. Losing that evidence feels like losing God, losing purpose, losing the magic of life. Yet the deeper paradox is that the magic is not gone, it is internalized. When synchronicity stops, it is not because life has abandoned you, but because life is inviting you to embody the magic directly. Instead of chasing after numbers, feathers, dreams, or coincidences, you become the source of alignment. Your actions, your words, your presence ripple out as synchronicities in the lives of others. The baton of meaning passes from the universe back to you. This is the true quantum shift, becoming a conscious co-creator rather than a passive interpreter of signs. As this new state stabilizes, something extraordinary happens. The stillness you once feared becomes a profound peace. The absence of signs becomes a deep presence. You begin to live not in anticipation of cosmic validation but in the fullness of your own authenticity. Life no longer needs to whisper clues because you are attuned to the pulse of creation itself. Ironically, synchronicities may begin to reappear, but now they feel different. They are no longer crutches or confirmations but playful echoes of the reality you already embody. You smile at them not because you need them but because you recognize them as ripples of the consciousness you have become. The journey from synchronicity to its absence, and from absence to quantum shift, mirrors the evolution of human consciousness itself. As children of spirit, we first learn through external guidance, signs, and symbols. Then we enter the desert of silence where no signs come and we feel lost. Finally, we emerge as creators, realizing that the silence was never emptiness but the canvas upon which we were meant to paint. This cycle repeats at higher levels, each time stripping us of dependence and deepening our mastery. The absence of synchronicity is not a punishment but an initiation, one that transforms seekers into creators, followers into leaders, dreamers into dream weavers. The quantum shift is in essence the recognition that you are the source. You no longer wait for life to confirm you because you confirm yourself. You no longer wait for signs because your very being is the sign. You no longer seek meaning because you radiate it. This shift cannot be taught by books or sustained by rituals. It arises only in the crucible of silence, when the outer universe steps back so that the inner universe can awaken. That awakening is irreversible because once you realize that you are the projector of reality, the days of chasing shadows are over. You step into your role as creator, as sovereign, as the quantum presence through which life itself unfolds. In this way, the moment synchronicity stops is not an ending but a beginning. It is the doorway through which you move from dependence to sovereignty, from signs to source, from reflection to embodiment. It is the collapse of one paradigm and the birth of another, where the quantum shift reveals itself as the silent power within you that was always there. To fear this moment is natural, but to embrace it is transformative. For in that silence, you discover that the universe never stopped speaking. It simply changed its language from signs outside you to truth within you. And in that realization, you become not just a participant in synchronicity but the living embodiment of cosmic harmony itself.